The quest for spiritual enlightenment calls for successful navigation between regressive and progressive dynamics. By coming to this realization, we begin to perceive a greater understanding of the current world stage. Is the world just a barren place to be? Are people just inherently good or bad? Is there a lesser path that leads to the fall from grace? And is there yet another more elusive path, in accordance with the laws of nature, that leads to our becoming enlightened? There's power in determining how the awareness of our own consciousness unfolds. The journey begins with understanding how mental and physical consumption contribute to the expansion or diminishment of consciousness. Expansion leads to shadow integration, while diminishment leads to the conscious self losing command of the shadow. In perceiving this fundamental truth comes the understanding of the vulnerability and strength inherent in our humanity. This is the symbol of the black sun, which stands for complete power, chaos, and destruction of life, the opposite of what the sun stands for, which is all-encompassing, offering nourishment for all life on earth. The black sun ideology came to be during Nazi Germany and is still being used by the neo-Nazi white supremacists in the U.S. In metaphysics, the sun is much more than a source of energy. The sun is the life force generator. It's the essence of spirit, willpower, and purpose. With abundance of spirit, we develop a core sense of self. Through the expansion of awareness, we integrate with the shadow and gain command. Our awareness and integration with our shadow contributes to our spiritual enlightenment. So, to question and to be curious is a means of self-guidance and defense, but to make uninformed assumptions about human nature, to deem parts of the world terrible and other parts brilliant, contributes injustice. To stay vigilant and curious is to take the necessary responsibility for our own becoming and the fate of humanity. Spirit is not only an abstract notion, but of substance. Solar energy inspires all things and beings. In science, the sun is just a ball of energy, but in the metaphysical realm, the sun is spirit, the central life force generator. In astrology, when a natal chart has an emphasis of solar energy, the chart owner possesses a sunny disposition that feels larger than life, with a strong sense of individuality. Quite similar to when a person is intoxicated or experiencing a high, one feels invincible with the feeling of being able to conquer the world. But the case with alcohol and drugs is that they give an overabundance of energy. Brain alchemy compensates this overabundance by eliminating the dopamine receptors. Dopamine receptors are also responsible for receiving solar energy, essential for life on Earth. What happens to our consciousness when the main source of spirit energy is disconnected? What happens when home tree is destroyed within the individual? Alcohol and drugs have become a cultural norm. But these man-made substances have a heavily underestimated impact on the current state of the world. The balance of solar energy in nature can't compete with the disproportionate energy experienced from drugs and spirits. One of the immediate side effects of this unbalancing is that ordinary life no longer seems to satisfy. The sun doesn't shine as bright, and depression and discontentment await in a world filled only with shades of gray. This cultural norm not only steals the worth out of ordinary living, but it confuses and confounds linear evolution. This results in massive confusion of who we are and what we're all about. We lose the natural zest and lust we had for life. For the occasional and responsible user, this matter unfolds gradually. In the absence of spirit, when the natural power of sunlight is eclipsed, one of the most destructive chaos that ensues is the rise of the Black Sun ideology and the lure of the underworld. The shadow self runs amok and forms alliance with an invincible army. We become the best viable candidates for corruption, distortion, and hatred. What was normally inhibiting, harmful, dangerous, immoral, and taboo become the greatest stimulant. It lends an excitement and lust for life that we've long lost. It's like when people say a child is regressing. Spiritual regression is a reality for many. It's why an individual can turn into a killer and a pedophile, why hate campaigns are successful in their recruitment, and why kids are being sexually trafficked. In the absence of spirit, the extremity serves as stimulus. With connection to spirit severed, our shadow self is the master. We've long lost sight of conscious thought. Life has no moral code or meaning. The only meaning we perceive is one that provides the stimulus to fuel our hate. In a dog-eat-dog world, we've become the enemy of humanity and human enlightenment. Just as there are dark existential truths, there are redeeming truths. The body is the temple of the soul. Our physiological and neurological state can directly affect our spiritual well-being, just as our emotional well-being can affect our physical well-being and vice versa. Our spiritual well-being correlates with our sense of spiritedness and will to live. In the presence of spirit, we're more capable of appreciating life's seemingly insignificant moments. Spirit is what gives life color and infinite meaning. It vitalizes with the natural fervor and zest, and encourages men to wake up each day and face reality. There is great beauty in the mundane, and the heart is capable of immense gratitude. Spirit allows for the expansion of consciousness, which entails a real connection to earth and beings. The energy we naturally acquire from life makes us feel alive and invincible, but not as if we are above the natural laws of nature. We're able to pierce through the deeper layers of existence. We adopt a brighter outlook and evolve ever more formative of existence. Life is lived in devotion to enacting and honoring the all-encompassing spirit gifted to all by sun and moonlight. In ancient Egypt, the sun was worshipped as a deity. In astrology, the sun is our higher spiritual purpose and a life force generator. At sunset, before the sun falls, in the silent nature of spirit, acknowledge its resurgent power, similar to the nature of men, capable of the greatest awakening and regeneration. And by sunrise, remember purpose and the whole story.